Alright, secondhand toy dealer here with my week's toy haul. Not a large toy haul, but enough to maybe justify a video. I've been hunting for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Walmart exclusive reissues of the 1980s action figures. I have been looking for Raphael. I definitely want to get a good copy of him. I've seen one in the store. The bubble was all smashed up, the card back was all creased, and the forearm was popping out of the rest of the arm here at the joint. It wasn't quite snapped into place. So if someone was going to buy him, open him, and display him on a shelf, you could probably have resolved all of that, thrown the packaging away, and it wouldn't have been a big deal. But I like to display my stuff new in the package, so I passed on that. They had a few other characters there. They did have a few Michelangelos, and they did have a bunch of Donatello. They didn't have any Leonardos at that store, so I ended up passing on those, and after giving it some thought, I kind of wished I would have gone ahead and purchased one of those Donatellos and maybe one of those Michelangelos if they would have had one that was in good shape. The second store that I went to and bought this one at, they had, the most that they had was of Leonardo. They didn't have any Raphael. They had like one Michelangelo, and they had like 3 or 4 Donatellos. All of the Donatellos that they had either had a crease in the card back or some imperfections in the paint application on his shell or eye mask. So I ended up passing on the Donatellos there, and the Michelangelos were actually not in great shape either. Of all of the figures that they had at that Walmart, this was the only like mint on card that they had. This one didn't have any paint blemishes on the figure. It had a clean card back, and the bubble looks good. So went ahead and picked that up. I guess I've got 90 days. If I can't find any of the other 3, I'll probably just return it. I'd like to collect them all, or at least get Raphael if I can. But like I said, I've been hunting for months now, and I've only seen him at 2 stores. But I've got one. I'm 25% of the way there to collecting all 4. I also purchased this on eBay. This here is one of the throwback things. I had this as a kid. I purchased it, was into Star Trek, played with it for a bit, and a few months later decided I was going to sell it to a fellow student and use that money to buy something else. So this is kind of like maybe one of the first things that I bought and sold toy and collectible wise. So I saw this on eBay, and the guy who had it was just a couple hours north of me. Made him an offer, and he accepted, so now I have one to throw in the collection as a tribute to one of the first things that I bought and sold toy-wise, even as far back as when I was a kid. A couple things at GameStop. The first thing was this Pocket Pop keychain Funko Pop Gremlin, wearing the 3D movie glasses. You know, I'm not a big Funko Pop fan, but I do like the packaging on these. I mean, I like the space that they take up. They're a nice little thing to fill up a pegboard and oddball space, and I kind of like the way that they look. They're a keychain at least, so they serve some purpose. They're not just a poorly thought out action figure. They're a keychain, so I kind of feel like they're a little more justifiable in my mind than a Funko Pop, and they fill a weird space on the pegboard in the collection. I find that it's a big game of catch-22, trying to fill in all the spaces on a pegboard. Having stuff like this laying around that you can use to fill in an oddball space is really handy. So, Gremlin with 3D glasses, purchased at GameStop. Another thing that I purchased at GameStop was this Infinity Saga Iron Man Mark III. And this is actually something that would be a good example of an action figure that I like the presentation of it. They took the actual human face and put it on the action figure, and then all of the other accessories are basically just like suit parts. I can envision like that's just a second set of robot suit gloves, some attachments, and a spare mask. I think that it's weird to have an additional head just floating off. These could all be accessories that go with the Iron Man figure, so I really like that. I think that if you're going to add additional body parts like hands or faces, I would love to see them put them in like a side panel where it's not something that's going to be seen if you display something like this in your collection. And if you want to see what is included, you can see in a side panel all of the different facial expressions and hand poses in the side, but it still presents very well from the front. This is how I would love to see them do stuff like this. Now, that is not how they chose to continue doing it in this series. You can see that I picked up a Captain America, and this was a deal. It was originally $24.86. I picked it up for $6. So for $6, I'm not going to complain too much about having some random head right next to the Steve Rogers action figure here. I just think that just looks goofy. I'd rather see something like this in a side window. The hands, you can see the knuckles, but essentially it looks like a pair of gloves just kind of floating off with the other accessories. I can live with those. Having the two faces, that's weird. I wish they would either just pick one or put one in a side panel that you can see if you want to look through a clear plastic window on the side, see what it comes with, but looking straight on it, I think it would have displayed better if it didn't have a random head just kind of like hanging off to the side. So there's Captain America, and then finally at that same Walmart they had a Thor action figure that was clearance down to $6 as well. And this is kind of the one from the end game where he's fighting Thanos at the end, and you can see that he's that heavy set Thor. I don't think that I realized in the movie that when I saw that the lightning came down and braided his beard, I thought that he lost his beer gut there and he was all superheroed out. So seeing this in the store, I didn't realize. I'll have to watch the movie again, but apparently he kept his beer gut for that fight. But I really like the hammer, how it's translucent, and it has some of that like electrical kind of like look to it, airbrushed over the translucent hammer part of the hammer. And then you've got Stormbreaker in that same translucent blue with that same electrical kind of like overlaid paint with some electrical charging on the side. You do have some random hands just kind of off to the side there, and you know, I could have done without that, but it's better than having a second head just off to the side. But anyways, for $6, I thought that was pretty cool to have the three main characters, Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor. I'll be able to display those all together. I will probably remove this clearance sticker off of the front of it, apply it on the bottom so I can remember which ones I picked up at that great price. And at least they put it on the plastic so that when I usually take like a little flat plastic razor blade, a scraper blade, and I will kind of ease that off, put it on the bottom, and if it needs to be cleaned at all, I can take some lemon oil and it won't have any adverse effects on this clear plastic. But if it was on this cardboard here, it could potentially pull ink off of that and ruin the displayability of this packaging. So I appreciate whatever Walmart employee stuck these tags on. At least they stuck them on something that I can pull it off and clean and gussy it up real nice. So, alright, well, that is the toy haul for this week. It was a brief week, and you know, I'm hoping to find some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the coming days or weeks. So, alright, well, thanks for checking out my videos. We will catch you next time.
His brain ain't right, but it's fun.
Yes! That's awesome!
It's pretty cool, I guess.
Mark, are you gonna be a dork your whole life? Hope not.
I can't believe he called me a psycho.
Hey, were you in there just now? You are a psycho.
I'm really, really sorry. I apologize unreservedly. I offer a complete and utter retraction. The imputation was totally without basis in fact and was in no way fair comment and was motivated purely by malice. And I deeply regret any distress that my comments may have caused you or your family. and I hereby undertake not to repeat any such slander at any time in the future.